Tones, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm so excited to see you live on stage in a few. How do you prepare for a show? Because I saw you were at Southside yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And you said, I'm finally becoming myself again.
Yeah, I edited that bio a few times because I was just so overwhelmed. But I think what happened was I had a really big start to my career from being a street performer. And then within a year, it just blew up. And all I ever wanted to do was to play music live. That's why I was a street performer and not a YouTube artist. And so when the world flipped me upside down, as long as I was playing shows, I was happy. And then COVID hit. Right where I was on my tour, I was in Berlin, I had to leave, and I never got to show people the side of me that really mattered. They just heard a song. And I was so scared coming back after all this time, people would forget and they wouldn't be interested to know who I am anymore as a performer, which is all I ever wanted to do. And I was so nervous that no one would be there. No one would be in front of the stage. I was so scared. And then when I saw that, wow.
You saw the amount of people?
I cried 4 times on stage. And I think that, to me, it just put me back in that spot of, this is what you worked hard for. Don't doubt yourself anymore, you know?
So if people ask you, who's Tones and I, your answer is a live performer.
Yeah, absolutely. That just makes me so happy to say that.
I love to ask those questions to artists. What is a good live show?
Well, I think that as an artist, I just want to sing, and I want to sing well. I don't want to have any BVs, dubs. I just want to sing. I think that it's really important that I'm just learning now with production. So this is also, I've always wanted to put together a big show with big production, figure out the stage set, screen content, but I've never been able to, because as soon as I started making a bit of money that I could put into my shows, COVID. So I've had 2 years to come up with this massive show with this big madhouse, and I can stand like at the top of the house, and I have a full 20-piece choir that are on my arm.
Stop it.
But they're not here today.
So wait a minute, the people that you have on your arm,
they're my choir. They come with me everywhere, and they're in the show. Have a whole choir. And it's just, my shows are just full of love. I always used to look at other shows like rock bands and be like, wow, people are going crazy. They don't do that for my shows. They don't mosh and, you know. And then when I was playing this show once in Australia, I looked and people were crying and holding and hugging each other. And I was like, okay, well, that's my thing. Because that's what I do. I always get emotional because I'm still in such disbelief that, you know, I'm in the Netherlands right now.
You are?
And, you know, the first show I played here was to 20 people.
And look at you now.
And it was sold out. It was 20 people sold out.
And so that's crazy.
crazy.
But then you also sound like a big fan of music, of live shows. And now I'm wondering who inspires you? What is a live show that really stuck with you and gave you that feeling like, I want to do that for myself?
The best live show that made me think, wow, I can't wait until one day I can create a live performance was Donald Glover.
Where?
At Splendor in Australia, and it was so cold and I was so shivering sitting in the amphitheatre watching this show, and he was just incredible. He brought a choir onto stage. He just owned it in those down moments and those up moments, and everything that he is, he just owned everything, and he had the power, and he was so creative and so inspiring in that moment. I'll never forget it. And that, I always reference that when people ask me about live shows that inspired me. It's just the moment where I was like, I really want to put a live show together one day, and I hadn't even released music at this point, so you know.
Yeah. So now that you're creating music, I can imagine it's always with playing it live in the back of your mind then.
Yeah.
So because there's a new EP coming, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like on your debut album you kind of like embrace the chaos. I saw someone title it that way, and I love that. How would you describe the EP that's coming?
I always say like my album and my first EP were very exactly chaotic. No song was like the same kind of tone, but this one is. It's actually like, I know this is so weird and I don't know how this happened, but I usually write with, predominantly I start with a keyboard, so everything's a ballad first, like Dance Monkey was a ballad and I built it out from there. But this one I started with bass, so everything I started with bass, and now it's turned into this funk choir, like just upbeat. Even the slower song is like a choir chorus with everyone. Like, it's beautiful. And I just told myself not to overthink it. I was like, if this feels right, go with this. And I never overthought my first EP. I've dropped my first album now. I'm sweet.
Was that like a, how do you say that, an obstacle for you, the debut album? Because it's a debut album.
Yeah, well, when everything started happening and the songs started getting really big, a lot of people asked me to collaborate, and I said to them, look, I don't want to do any collaborations or any co-writing, because I want to say I've written my first and produced my first EP and album. I said, and after my first album, it's game on. So now I'm starting, for the first time, I'm starting to do collaborations, write with other artists.
Yes.
I actually have a song coming out soon with my favorite artist in the world that found out through all these interviews that I was obsessed with this artist. They surprised me backstage at one of my shows in America. We've been in the studio together, and we have a song coming out in like 4 weeks.
And you can't tell me who it is it?
Well, I really want to.
Yeah, I wish.
Because I just, it's so hard because it's my first collab, so I know it's their song too, so I'm like, I don't know if we're meant to.
Yeah.
But oh my God,
4
it's
weeks.
just so like, I'm so excited, and it's such a good song, and it's my first collab, and I've waited so long to start working with artists, and I'm so glad I waited, because I always say in my life, the first song I did with someone else was my favorite artist in the world. If you Google it, you'll find out, because I say it in all my interviews.
So now I'm definitely gonna Google it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna Google it after this interview. I'm gonna be Googling it right away. But I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about the EP, because a lot of artists, when the first album drops, they have this thing called like the sophomore slump, if you get what I'm saying. For you, it feels like the opposite then. For you, the obstacle was the first one, and now you feel free. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's like, so some of those songs on the album I wrote before Dance Monkey, which I use that reference because even though I released Johnny before that, people remember when that came out more than Johnny, even though I love Johnny Runaway. And it was so long ago, but I had to release it because I thought, well, I can't never release this music, right? This was a part of me way back then. This was helped me get through busking on the streets and living in my car. So I thought I have to release this so then I can really start writing new music. But a lot of the album was the going through the last 2 years of my life and having my best friend pass away through that, and ups and downs, like great moments as well, but it was so erratic. That's exactly why, because I only had this album, and I was like, but there's so much to say. So I knew as soon as I got the album out, I could just start writing fresh again, like what's in the future, what's to come. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tones, and have so much fun on stage.
Thanks, I'm so excited. Yeah. Please come watch the set.
Of course, I will. I will.
Oh my God, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.